Namaste and good morning, everyone. Let's do some prayers before we start our Wednesday class. Om Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parbrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Bhur Bhavaswaha, Tat Savitra Varenayam, Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi, Diyo Yo Nah Prachodayat, Asto Ma Satkamya. तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गम्य मृत्योर्मा अमृतं गम्य ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सवीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति 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 ओम. We have all witnessed the changes in our human life. That's why they say that human life abounds with the changes. There are changes in the body as well as the states of mind. There are changes in the objects of the world also. However, there are times when a person desires to bring about a total change in his life. So on one hand, we don't like anything to be changed, but time comes when we prefer a change. When a person doesn't want to be the same personality with a constant irritability, sustained tension, and with a lingering habit of jealousy, then you want to change. Person desires to be free from these negative qualities and aspires to become a person abounding with the qualities of endurance, patience, magnanimity, even a balanced mind, and a cheerful disposition. Such a desire to change is indeed commendable. It is this inward feeling to change that marks the commencement of the soul's journey towards the goal of self-realization. So in other words, you got to learn how to root the negativity out. We don't want to keep the negativity. It is important to understand how to bring about this deep-rooted change so that our old habits do not reassert themselves and a suppressed negative trait does not arise again with greater vehemence. But lacking a profound understanding of the secrets of life, often people adopt various methods to deal with their negative qualities. And what happens is they suppress or hide these negative qualities. Or some people even try to veil a negative quality by adopting a positive quality. A person who is prone to irritability, cruelty, and pride often adorn themselves with dripping tenderness or nauseating kindness or exaggerated humility. So in an attempt to outgrow their negative traits, but they do not succeed. It's almost like you are trying to deck thorny bushes with ornamental flowers or deprive them of their branches and leaves. You can even cut them. But as long as the roots are in the ground, they will arise again. So the same way, you may suppress your negative qualities, try to modify them, or even cut them down to a very great extent by practice of good association and meditation. But until you get at the root of the negativity within you, you will not eliminate it fully and completely. That's why we got to understand the difference between change and transformation. When you have turned away from your anger, greed, and pride for a short time, you have merely changed. But when you turn away from these, paying a final goodbye, you have brought about a spiritual transformation within yourself. You have merely changed when you no longer find pleasure in the toys of your childhood, because you have only changed your toys. The inner weakness that drives you to find happiness in the objects of the world has not been overcome. On the other hand, when you become free from that illusion, only then you are transformed. When you bring about a vital change within yourself as a result of increasing integration and spiritual understanding, you become transformed. You will see that you will be filled with new energy, new insight, new inspiration. In the process of eliminating the roots of your negative traits, you continue to discover increasing expansion of your inner self. Your life becomes a song of success. It flows with joy. You feel the vitality and spiritual aspiration. But when you simply change in terms of your external surroundings, objects, and relationships, without changing at the deeper level of your personality, your mind gradually becomes burdened with an increasing sense of boredom. It's almost like a person with a very simple job, could be an office job, could be a factory job, did not have much responsibility, but becomes a government official. Or a lawyer becomes a judge. Or ordinary student of philosophy may become a professor. But the deeper part of their personalities continue to be the same. Only the external or the few layers of the personality has changed. Because we see that if there is not a substantial change or transformation, when a person is deprived of their favorite object, they will grieve, lament, just as they have done in their earlier years, when they did not have those higher positions. When encountering objects of their liking, they lose their balance of mind through elation, and veiled by the mask of external prestige and public recognition, they continue to be what they have been all along. So the external mask has further hindered them from receiving this healthful atmosphere of nature. Men who mask their old uncultured self with glittering degrees and titles received from the world become more uncontrolled with reference to their defects and negative habits. So in other words, they become more dangerous to the society. For example, a short-tempered student becomes a professor. Now he does not feel the necessity of controlling his temper. Rather, he thinks he is licensed to express his righteous indignation towards his students for their own good. And at times, overpowered by the grossest form of his uncontrolled nature, He is unable to recognize that he is humiliating and degrading himself in the light of his own reason. A person who continues to ignore the inner voice of conscience and tries to seek consolation in the illusory masks of his glittering world cannot hope to experience true forms of joy and abundance itself. But on the other hand, you may change deeply within yourself without changing your external makeup. You may remain the same in the same position, a same status, but not the same old personality. You may remain the same old farmer, but not the same weakling of a few years ago. So this inner strength comes when we walk on the path of spirituality. When you simply change, you remain the same personality. But when you bring about a transformation, you come closer to the universal life that flows through you. That is the difference. In fact, sometimes the outer change takes us away from this inner growth. So that's why it's very important to understand what the change is and what transformation is. This inner transformation is what you need to bring about in your personality. And that is what spirituality is. While a life of undisciplined senses beckons you to the lures of external changes, because eyes want to see what is out there. This tongue wants to taste all kinds of delicacies. So they lure you towards external. But a life dedicated to yoga urges you to bring about a vital and profound transformation in your life. You are not a yoga abhyasi unless you have this clarity. The external changes are like a piece of iron being molded into different forms. But when you transform yourself with the practice of yoga, it's like iron being transformed into gold. There's a total transformation. Not just the form is changing. The change that yoga professes to bring about is like converting the iron of your personality into the shining gold of inward unfoldment. So when you have brought about a spiritual transformation in yourself, your virtuous qualities will continue to shine more and more. You will not be drawn back to the old habits which kept you in the lower realms. So that's why we got to learn how to integrate our personality through yoga. Take recourse to integral yoga. It will bring about a total change in your being. But do not expect a change overnight, because there are several layers we need to wash. Bring rhythm and balance into your daily life. Your personality is sustained by the pillars of reason, emotion, will, and action. A vital change must take place in each of these four foundations of your personality. However, when your reason changes into intuition, the process of spiritual change attains its climax. All the favorable changes that you endeavor to bring about in yourself are completed by the light of intuition. And Lord Krishna used the word for intuition as pragya. Until you have developed intuitional vision into the nature of the self, the changes within you remain at the mercy of the subtle processes of ignorance that operate through your unenlightened mind, which is like a worldly mind or a material mind, you can call it. We got to learn how to change our active life. And Karma Yoga gives us the art of changing in this physical plane. You learn the art of working without seeking the deluded pleasure of your ego. Because Karma Yoga, you all know 3 aspects of Karma Yoga. Selflessness has to be there. Because selfishness is the ego, selflessness. And you work with the detachment and an increasing insight into the philosophical fact that action is the expression of the flowing stream of life. When you are transformed spiritually, you delight in performing actions that produce goodness in the world. You learn to live for others. The selfishness just evaporates. Instead of being urged by selfishness, greed, and egoism to work for perishable results in the world, you are urged by selflessness, universal love, and inward spiritual revelation to increasingly recognizing God expressing himself through this creation. Every action of yours, you just remind yourself that you're doing it for God only, not for the profit. This is the transformation that you must endeavor to acquire in the plane of your active life. We are in a karma yoni. All of us do many, many actions every day. We got to see how many of our actions every day fall in this category of karma yoga. Then we have to change our mental life also in order to transform ourselves. Because we are not just the body, we have the mind also. We cannot just transform body and call ourselves a yogi. That's where the Raj Yoga outlines the art of change in your mental plane. Instead of keeping your mind a perpetual workshop for the devil of distraction, you begin to convert it into a shrine for the deity of meditation. You learn the art of controlling your thoughts. The thoughts which are just going outside all the time. You learn how to control. You become the master of your thoughts. And you enter the profound depths of your personality through concentration and meditation. Your egoistic will becomes transformed by, it's called a philosopher's stone of samadhi, into the divine will that operates for the good of all. Then how do you change your emotions? Because we are body also, we are the thoughts also, and there are emotions also. The yogi gurus, they say, use bhakti yoga. Because bhakti yoga presents the art of transforming your sentiments into a stream of divine love. Instead of falling into the widespread snares of attachment and infatuation in the name of love, you begin to discover the love of the self, which is the basis and source of all human love that operates in this relative world. It is for the sake of the self that all is loved. Upanishads give us this truth. Because those Upanishadic seers, they realized this. They said that you enjoy spiritual love, which neither comes nor goes. Otherwise, in this worldly love, we see people falling in love and falling out of love constantly. But when the transformation is there, the soul blends into God Himself. And outcome of that is you enjoy a perennial stream of sweetness. There's not a moment when you are not joyful. The loving sentiment that flowed like a muddy river in a swampy land now becomes transformed into a silvery stream of freedom. And that finds fulfillment in the ocean of bliss. That's we get from Bhakti Yoga. That's why Lord Krishna said, my devotee ultimately not only know me, not only see me, but enter into me. That is the power of the Bhakti. And the fourth thing I mentioned earlier, when I said 4 pillars, the reason. We use our reasons all the time. But when our personality gets transformed, this reason transforms into intuition. Gyan Yoga gives us this. So Gyan Yoga gives us the art of transforming our reason into intuition. It is the culmination in the process of personality integration. By listening to the scriptures under the guidance of a spiritual preceptor or a guru, and by reflecting and meditating upon the meanings of the scriptural teachings, a wise seeker brings about a total change in the perspective of his identity. Instead of asserting, I am this body of flesh and blood, he realizes, I am the universal self. Oneness with all. Instead of pursuing the desires of the mind led by egoistic vision, he questions the very fictitious experience of the ego. And having discovered that the ego sense is like a wandering dream subject in the darkness of ignorance, he wakes up. That's why this kind of a person is called awakened. He wakes up to realize that he is essentially the divine self, independent of all desires and cravings. Intuitional knowledge is the fire that consumes the roots of all evil habits in our personality. Unless we have reached there, the roots are still there. And any little water or the right environment, those leaves and the branches and the fruits and the seeds will grow again. This is called a philosopher's stone that completes the process of transformation in every plane of existence. Your personality is totally transformed. You know you are the divine self. At that time, the human body becomes a living temple of God. Before that, sure, we imagine that in our Mooladhara chakra, Ganesh lives. In Swadhisthana chakra, Vishnu Brahmaji lives. The Manipur chakra, Vishnuji lives. Anahat chakra, Shiv Bhagwan lives. So all those deities are in our body. But when we have really reached to this intuitional knowledge, then you experience that also. We got to ask ourselves, how long we want to continue to change only on the surface plane of our existence. That is like a very superficial sadhana. How long are we going to do it? We've been doing it long enough. Time should come when this kind of a burning desire arises. I just don't want to only remember that there are deities in me. I want to experience the deities in myself. I want to know who I am. I've been reading about it, saying about it, that I'm not the body. Then why do I get tempted for the urges of the body or the mind? I know that my intellect, my reasoning is finite. Why do I just continue to assert that I got to know God with the help of this intellect? When will I surrender my intellect at the feet of God and the Guru? Learn the art of bringing about a profound change in your being. Practice a blend of dedicated action, devotion, meditation, and spiritual inquiry in your day-to-day life. Often people think that, no, I want to just walk only on the Karma Yoga path, or a Bhakti Yoga, or a Jnana Yoga. We got to learn how to integrate. Body is to do the seva. Mind is to remember God. And then ego is supposed to be surrendered and the intellect should be surrendered. Place yourself increasingly in the hands of your purified reason. Purified reason is the one which is intuition. Let your personality bask in the sunshine of wisdom. Let it enjoy soft showers of divine sentiments. Let it breathe in the atmosphere of a joyous mind. Joyous mind which doesn't have a condition of staying joyful if the environment is conducive. No matter what happens, have a joyful mind. The saints and the sages and the yogis, they have that. Because they are established in that Anandamaya Kosh. As long as they have a body, they are established in there and they are so clear about their divinity. So joyous mind. And that's what they teach us. Only then we are going to be transformed. And how do we go beyond transformation? In the light of your intuition, you will discover that the self is beyond all changes and transformations. Because we are not transforming the self. This transformation is about the lower layers of our personality. We want to transform the body so that it doesn't get sick and becomes a hurdle for us. We want to transform the mind, which stays selfish. We want to make it selfless. We want to transform our emotions. When we cry for the world, we want to cry for God. We want to transform. Then we want to transform our reasoning, intellect, into intuition. We are not transforming the soul. So in the light of the intuition, you will discover that that the soul or the self is beyond all changes and transformations because it is part of God. It's nothing but God. It's almost like with the removal of dark clouds. The sun reveals. Even over here in Chicago a few minutes ago, dark clouds were there. Now sun is shining. It's not that sun was gone somewhere. Sun was there. Only those clouds had to be moved away. And that's how this intrinsic brilliance, we can feel who we are. The clouds begin to shine with the colors of the rainbow. The trees reveal their greenery, and the rivers flow with brightness. In the same way, with the revelation of the self and soul, changes occur in the clouds of the mind. In the rivers of our own sentiments, in the summits of our own thoughts, and in the valleys of our daily life. You'll see that shine. You will feel that shine. You will share that shine when the transformation is there. When we just look at it from outside, it seems paradoxical that a self brings a total change in our personality. But such is the wisdom acquired by the yogis and the sages. Acquire the wisdom of the immutable self. This is the secret of spiritual transformation. Not only in yourself, but in the world in which you live. And this is the basis of all that is good, beautiful, and divine in this world. And for this, we have to do sadhana. This is not something which we just only listen and admire. This is the foundation of our sadhana. At the body level, at the mind level, at the intellect level, and ultimately ego also. And then we get to know who we are. So transforming the personalities layers and getting to know who we are. And this is basically what yoga sadhana is all about. And every day we talk about it. In every class, sometimes we do meditation. In the class also, I'm sure you're doing it daily at home. We do Hatha Yoga also. We study the scriptures also. We do the seva also. So it's a combination of all. We should see the change in us. And we should have more and more glimpses of who we are. So let's stop it here. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Visheshyate. Om Shanti 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 Om.